All right, strap yourselves in because today's deep dive is a weird one. We're talking about a file, I don't even know how to describe it. It's just Silvio Berlusconi, the name, over and over and over again, 1,000 times to be exact. No context, no explanation, just pure, unadulterated Berlusconi.
It's like a digital echo chamber of Berlusconi.
Exactly. And, that name carries some serious weight. I mean, we're talking about Silvio Berlusconi, media tycoon, former prime minister of Italy, a man who could sell ice to Eskimos and charm the stripes off a zebra.
A man who's been called everything from a visionary leader to a corrupt buffoon.
And now we've got this file, this digital enigma, that just screams Berlusconi 1,000 times. What are we supposed to make of it?
Well, that's the million-euro question, isn't it? Is this a prank, a political statement, some kind of coded message? Or maybe, just maybe, a piece of avant-garde art.
Avant-garde art. Okay, now you've got my attention. I mean, we've seen stranger things in the art world, right? Like that banana duct tape to a wall that sold for $100,000.
Exactly. Art can be anything these days.
So maybe this Berlusconi file is some high-concept commentary on the nature of fame or the power of repetition.
It's like Warhol soup cans, but instead of Campbell's, it's Berlusconi's face plastered everywhere.
It's giving me Berlusconi as a pop art icon vibes.
And knowing Berlusconi, you probably love that.
Oh, absolutely. The man was a master of self-promotion. Can you imagine the headlines? Berlusconi breaks the internet with a 1,000-name file. He'd be eating this up.
He'd probably release a line of Silvio Berlusconi by 1,000 merchandise. T-shirts, coffee mugs, maybe even a limited edition fragrance.
Knowing Berlusconi, anything is possible. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. What if this isn't just a joke or an art piece? What if there's something more to it?
Something more sinister, perhaps.
Ooh, sinister. Now we're talking. Okay, conspiracy theory time.
You know, there are techniques for hiding information within data. Steganography, they call it.
Steganography. Sounds like something out of a spy movie.
It is. It's the art of hiding messages in plain sight.
So you're saying that the spacing between those Berlusconi names could actually be a coded message?
It's not impossible. We're talking about a man who was no stranger to backroom deals and political intrigue.
Okay, now I'm picturing a treasure map hidden within the digital spaces of this file. This is like National Treasure meets The Godfather.
Let's take this a step further. What if this isn't just a message for a select few? What if it's aimed at the masses?
Like some kind of subliminal messaging campaign.
Exactly. You open this file out of curiosity and suddenly, bam, you're overcome with an urge to invest in Berlusconi's companies. Or wear a bandana and aviator sunglasses.
And don't forget the bunga bunga parties.
But seriously, the idea of subliminal messaging is a fascinating one, especially when you're dealing with a figure like Berlusconi, a master manipulator of media and public perception.
This is giving me chills. Okay, one more wild theory. What if this file isn't even human-made? What if it's the product of some rogue AI, trapped in an existential loop, forced to churn out the name of its digital overlord Berlusconi?
Now that's a thought-provoking idea. The rise of AI is something we can't ignore. But for now, let's focus on the man himself. To understand this file, we need to understand Silvio Berlusconi.
So buckle up, folks, because we're about to take a deep dive into the life and times of Italy's most flamboyant and controversial figure, Silvio Berlusconi, the man, the myth, the legend, and the mystery behind this 1,000-name file.
All right, welcome back to our deep dive into the Silvio Berlusconi file. Last time we were, we were getting pretty wild with our theories.
We went from avant-garde art to subliminal messaging to rogue AI overlords. I mean, who knows? Maybe Berlusconi is secretly controlling the world to a 1,000-name file.
Haha. Well, let's not jump to conclusions just yet. Before we get too carried away with our speculation, we need to understand the man behind the name.
Right, because this file isn't just some random collection of words. It's 1,000 repetitions of a name that carries a lot of baggage. A name that represents power, controversy, and a whole lot of Italian flair.
Exactly. So let's rewind the tape a bit and take a closer look at the life and times of Silvio Berlusconi.
Okay, so for anyone who might not be familiar with this, this larger-than-life figure, let's start with the basics. Berlusconi was born in Milan in 1936, and his early career was anything but ordinary.
Oh yeah, we're not talking about your typical rags to riches story here. This is a man who started out as a cruise ship singer.
A cruise ship singer.
Seriously, you better believe it. And then he went on to selling vacuum cleaners.
Wow, from crooning on the high seas to hawking hoovers. That's quite the career trajectory.
But that's just the tip of the iceberg. Berlusconi eventually built a massive business empire with his fingers in everything from construction to media to sports.
Talk about a hustler. He basically conquered every sector he set his sights on.
And then, of course, there's his political career, which is a whole other saga in itself.
Yeah, I mean, he served as Prime Minister of Italy 3 times. That's got to be some kind of record, right?
It's certainly a testament to his charisma and political savvy. But let's not sugarcoat it. His time in office was full of controversy.
Oh, yeah, we're talking bunga parties, accusations of corruption, legal battles that seemed to drag on forever. It was like a real-life soap opera, but with higher stakes.
He was both adored and reviled, praised as a strong leader and criticized as a symbol of excess and scandal.
So when we look at this Silvio Berlusconi file, we're not just looking at a name. We're looking at a representation of all that complexity, all that controversy, all that Italian drama.
It's like the file itself is a microcosm of Berlusconi's life, a tangled web of ambition, power, and intrigue.
And maybe that's why it's so fascinating, so perplexing, because it reflects the man himself, a man who defied easy categorization, a man who was both a brilliant businessman and a polarizing politician.
And a man who, even in his digital afterlife, continues to spark debate and speculation.
All right, so we've established that Berlusconi was a complex and controversial figure. But how does that help us understand this file, this 1,000-name mystery that's been haunting our dreams?
Well, it gives us some context. It reminds us that we're not dealing with some random dude. We're dealing with Silvio Berlusconi, a man who is known for his grand gestures, his media savvy, and his penchant for pushing boundaries.
Okay, so are you saying that this file could be another one of his grand gestures, like some kind of elaborate publicity stunt designed to keep his name in the headlines?
It's not out of the realm of possibility. Remember, this is a man who once owned a football club, a media empire, and the prime minister's office. He knew how to command attention.
And let's not forget his love of spectacle. I mean, the man practically invented the term bunga bunga.
So yeah, the idea of him creating this file as some kind of bizarre art project or a viral marketing campaign, it's not as far-fetched as it might seem.
Okay, but what about the more sinister theories? The coded messages, the subliminal mind control, the road AI overlords.
Well, those are still on the table.
Yeah.
But understanding Berlusconi's personality and his history, it helps us to see those theories in a new light.
Right, because if anyone could pull off a digital mind control scheme or communicate with his minions through a secret code hidden in a file, it would be Silvio Berlusconi.
Exactly. So where does that leave us? We've got a file that's both baffling and intriguing, and we've got a man whose life was full of twists and turns.
It's like a puzzle box with 1,000 pieces. And we're just starting to figure out how they fit together. Okay, so we've explored the man, the myth, the legend that is Silvio Berlusconi. We've dug into his past, his personality, his penchant for the dramatic, and we've entertained all sorts of wild theories about this Silvio Berlusconi file. But now the big question remains, can we actually crack the code? Or are we just chasing shadows?
Well, after all this, after all our digging and speculating, I think I might have stumbled upon something that might explain it all.
Okay, lay it on me.
What if, and hear me out on this, what if this file isn't about Berlusconi at all?
Wait, what? You're saying that a file containing nothing but his name repeated 1,000 times isn't about him?
Exactly. What if it's about us?
Us, the listeners. What do we have to do with any of this?
Think about it. We've spent this entire deep dive trying to make sense of this file, searching for hidden meanings, secret codes, some kind of grand plan. But what if there is no plan? What if it's just a mirror?
A mirror. You're losing me here.
Okay, let me put it this way. This file, with its sheer repetition, its absurdity, its Berlusconiness, it's a reflection of our own fascination with the man, our own need to understand him, to categorize him, to fit him into some kind of narrative.
So you're saying that we're the ones who've created the mystery, that the meaning we're searching for isn't in the file itself,
Yeah.
but in our own heads.
Exactly. We're meaning-making machines, constantly searching for patterns and explanations. And when confronted with something as bizarre as this file, our imaginations go into overdrive.
So it's like a Rorschach test. We see what we want to see in those 1,000 repetitions.
Precisely. Some people might see it as a joke, a prank. Others might see it as a political statement, a sign of Berlusconi's enduring power. Still others might see it as art, a commentary on the nature of fame or repetition.
But ultimately, it's all just our own interpretation, our own way of making sense of something that might not have any inherent meaning.
And that's the beauty of it, isn't it? The Silvio Berlusconi file, in its simplicity, in its strangeness, it forces us to confront our own biases, our own assumptions, our own ways of seeing the world.
Wow, I never thought of it that way. So what's the takeaway here? What are we supposed to do with this newfound awareness?
I think the takeaway is this: be open to different interpretations, question your assumptions,